Hi, my name is Cecil Castellucci, and I'm going to read you a story. This is a book that I wrote called Odd Duck, and I wrote it with Sarah Veron, who illustrated it. So, can you guess what this book is about? That's right, it's about some odd ducks. Let me share my screen and we'll dig in. So, this right here is Theodora. What's she doing? She's sleeping. She's in her pretty bedroom. Ah, there she is. She's totally awake. Woo! We can tell because the alarm clock is buzzing. She puts on her slippers and gets ready for her day. Chapter 1. Theodora's days were very busy. There was wingspan exercises, daily sit-ups, quacking, quack, 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 exercising for perfect pitch and tone, and swimming. In the morning, she swam in straight lines across the pond with an object on her head to maintain perfect posture. What is she swimming with on her head? Yeah, that's right. It's a teacup. Do you swim with a teacup on your head? She's got a teacup on her head. It's always a cup of rose hip tea. In the afternoon, Theodora went to town to run her errands, and she got duck food just like all of the other ducks, but also mango salsa, huh? At the grocery store, she meets Gabe, the grocer. He's a good duck. Theodora always has exact change. Thanks, Theodora. I'm so glad I finally found a customer for that salsa, Gabe says. Then she goes to the craft store and she buys a bolt of sturdy duck burlap, just like all the other ducks. But then Velma, she's the cashier, she's a good duck. What are these fabric squares for, Thea? Another one of your quilting projects? Then she goes to the library, and that's Max, the librarian. He's a good duck. And she takes out a history of good ducks, just like all the other ducks. But also, she takes out duck mysteries, duck space stories, and duck romances. It's good to see these books are circulating again. No one's checked them out in years. Do you notice that? Because there's a lot of dust on all the books. Then Theodora pedals home. She never flew, even though her wings were in tip-top shape. She enjoyed living close to town, but not too close. Theodora Duck liked to be alone. Every night, Theodora fixed herself a fine supper and gazed up at the stars and made a wish on the first star she saw. She knows all of her constellations, of course. And her wish was always the same. Theodora wished that nothing in her happy life would ever change. Uh-oh, boys and girls, what happens when a character in a book wishes that nothing would ever change? That's right, everything is probably going to change. Let's see what happens. Chapter 2. One day, Theodora noticed something strange. Someone was moving into the empty house next door. The new neighbor had set up all kinds of gadgets and sculptures that were both modern and strange. After a few days, it was clear that this new duck intended to stay. Look at how different their houses are. Over at his house, he's got music coming out of the windows. It's a terrible screeching, which could be music. He's got a tree house with both windows painted black, a busted window, a conceptual sculpture with stones and an umbrella, a smelly old couch, some weeds in a pot, a little mini observatory. Do you see the telescope? A giant cardboard chicken, a Trojan horse. I mean, these were all very strange things. Theodora prided herself on being a gracious bird. She was determined to make the best of a bad situation. It was time to meet this new duck. So see, Theodora is a very friendly duck. She brings over a cake. She found him sunbathing in the backyard. Theodora looked this new duck over. Feathers dyed strange colors, feathers askew, feathers not well oiled. Politely, she tried to ignore his defects. Hello, she said. Flop, 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 flop. I'm Theodora. Ugh, shove. That's how he clears the table. It's a little odd. I'm Chad, he says. This duck has no manners. Theodora daintily sliced him a piece of cake anyway, because that's what good ducks do. But he had such strange creations in his yard. Look at the dog, the cardboard dog with dirty socks for ears. And then Chad began to talk. Blah, 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 blah. Theodora could not relate to a single thing that he said. And Theodora knew that one thing was certain. She and Chad would not be friends. Chapter 3. Theodora decided to keep to herself because Chad was not her style of duck. Still, every morning, Chad would wave to Theodora as he did his exercises. There he is, singing off key, waving hello, singing out of tune, violent dancing. I don't know what's going on over here, maybe some kind of breakdancing move. Then there was his swimming. Splash, 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 splashing all over Theodora's shoes. And then in the afternoons, Chad would spend hours hammering away at the large objects that he called art and proudly displayed in his yard. Theodora thought that his art was big and ugly. Well, thought Theodora, it's nearly winter. Chad will go south soon enough. Look at how he's barbecuing. Is that the way your parents or your grandparents or your aunts and uncles, is that the way they barbecue? It's a little strange. Theodora always meant to fly south for winter, but she never did, preferring instead the calm and quiet of the pond in winter. At the same time, she liked to watch the other ducks fly south. From the ground, they looked so mighty and beautiful. Goodbye, she says. She was almost tempted to join them, but she never did. Next year I will fly south with the others, she thought. Next year I will do it for sure. When the duck faded from view, the last one, Theodora sighed, ready to begin her day. Then she noticed something unusual. Oh! Who could it be? Chad! Did he fly south for winter? No. Why didn't he fly south? Look, his wing is broken. He hurt it while hammering. Chapter 4. In winter, every morning, Theodora would do her duck exercises in the warmth and safety of her bathtub. But not Chad. He did not seem to mind the cold at all. Look at him outside, making a snow angel. He's got a sled. Theodora would only brave the winter cold once each day when she stepped outside to look up at the night stars. Look at all the night stars. Have you all seen the constellations outside when you step outside? It's so pretty, right, when you look up? Would you like to look through my telescope? She heard Chad call. Here, take a look. Being a well-mannered duck, Theodora could not refuse. She had never seen a star so closely before. It was beautiful. Oh, she said, show me another one, and Chad did. Pretty soon they stopped looking at the stars, and Chad and Theodora began to talk. I think the Pleiades are my favorite stars, Theodora said. Oh, me too, Chad said. I think duck food is a little dry. I always put a little lemon mayo on it, Chad said. Oh, I agree, Theodora said. I always add a little mango salsa. Gave the grocer orders it special for me, Theodora said. Chad said. I love salsa and I love mangoes. Theodora, do you like the book A History of Good Ducks? Oh, Chad, A History of Good Ducks? And then they both said together, it's so boring. Maybe Chad was not so bad after all. Chapter 5. For the rest of the cold winter, Chad and Theodora shared lunch every day and gazed up at the stars together at night. And even though they were very different, they felt the same way about most things. Chad and Theodora talked about everything, but sometimes they didn't have to say anything at all. By the time the other ducks came back from the trip south, Theodora and Chad were inseparable, and Theodora had something she never had before. Theodora had a best friend. Chad was not like the other ducks. When he got excited, he talked a mile a minute, and he never arrived any place on time. But Theodora didn't mind that anymore. That was just Chad. But one day, They were walking back through town after doing errands, and Theodora and Chad overheard Gabe, Velma, and Maxwell snickering. Oh my gosh, oh look at that odd duck. Which duck are they talking about, boys and girls? Which one? Oh, don't listen to them, Theodora said to Chad. Theodora felt sorry for Chad. It was true that Chad was odd, but he was her friend. Oh, I don't mind about them, Chad said. It's you I'm concerned about. Oh, well, Chad, you don't need to be concerned for me. Well, Theodora, it's just that we have to face it. Those ducks are right. Oh, yes, Chad, those ducks are right. Yes, Theodora, you are a bit odd. What? I'm not odd, Chad. You are odd. No, Theodora, they were calling you the odd duck. Which one is the odd duck? I most certainly am not, Chad. You are mistaken. Oh, come now, Theodora. You're a duck who swims with a teacup on her head, eats mango salsa, quilts, likes old books, and stays home for winter. Well, Chad, you are a duck who dyes his feathers and swims in all kinds of directions, even when the pond is frozen. Humph, humph. Ugh. Are they mad at each other? Yes. Which one of them is odd, though? Which one? Slam, slam. Boy, they really don't agree. Chapter 6. Why that duck? Why was I ever friends with him? I was just doing him a favor. I could see that he needed a friend. Look at how distracted she is. What's happening with her? Is she pouring her tea properly? No. Theodora was so mad that she did not leave the house for 3 days. Theodora did not like being angry. It made her uncomfortable, and not even rosehip tea could calm her down. She had some nervous pacing, some general malaise, and some uncontrollable twitchiness. On the 4th day, Theodora decided that the only thing to do was to return to her old routine. 7 a.m. swimming. Oh, such straight, lovely lines. The teacup didn't fall once. It's a new personal best. But no one to share the news with. But who could she have shared it with before? 8 a.m. quacking. Quack, 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 quack. High C. But no one to sing with. Who do you think she could have sung with? 9 a.m. Wingspan exercises. Flapping is never better, but no one to time it. Who do you think could have timed it for her? Then it was time for errands. She went first to see Gabe for her groceries. Oh, look, it's a new kind of fruity salsa and a new fancy gourmet mayonnaise. But even though she wanted to try the new flavors, it wouldn't be fun to try them alone. But who could she have tried them with? Then she went to Velma's. Everything looked like a fun project, but who would she borrow tools from? Who do you think has a bunch of tools? Remember, he hurt his wing? Finally, she went to the library. The visiting lecturer, Stephen McDuck, talking about duck art through the ages sounded very interesting, but she didn't want to be the only duck there. Who do you think might have wanted to go with her? She goes home with a heavy heart. In the old days, before Chad, Theodora was perfectly happy, but now everything seemed boring without Chad to share it with. Theodora thought about calling one of the other ducks, but then she remembered. I finally found a customer for that salsa. Another one of your projects, Thea? No one's checked those books out in years. I don't think those ducks are very good or very nice, hey? So she hangs up the phone. That's an old style phone, by the way. As Theodora prepared her supper, she began to think. She did not like to think that she could be wrong, but she had never known Chad to lie, which could only mean one thing. Look at this. She goes outside. She's being very brave. She goes outside and Chad is there too. They both take a cautious step forward. They're both a little squirmy, but they have something to say to each other that's very important. You were right. I am a little odd, they both say at exactly the same time. I'll try to be more normal, Chad. No, I'll try to be more normal, Theodora. But I like you the way you are, Chad. And I like you the way you are, Theodora. It's not so bad to be odd, Theodora thought. Not when you have an odd friend. The end. So that's my story, Odd Duck. Odd Duck, written by me and illustrated by Sarah Veron. And I hope you've enjoyed this story time. And there is also, hopefully you will get it, but I'm going to send along a PDF of Chad and Theodora for you to color if you'd like. I love Thought Bubble, and I can't wait to be there in person next year. And I hope you all are staying safe and that you're going to have a great holiday and a great future, and that you stay odd.